Land, just Jax here. Got a special video, I guess. I was asked to participate in a video project for someone that is in France, I do believe, and so I am recording my submission for that, and it is kind of a refresher course since I have some new followers and such. I thought I would upload the video and give everybody the same information. I was asked to give my coming out story and my transition story. So here we go. For those that do not know, I am just Jax, but my name is Jaxum legally. I changed my name legally about 3 years ago. I was not born Jaxum. I was born a female. I do not give out my birth name. There are family members that still call me my birth name, and I am okay with that because my transition is just that. It is a transition for all of us, and they are very loving and accepting of who I am, but it is a transition for them as well, and I understand that. I'm not cutting off anyone because they have to correct themselves with pronouns or names. It happens, and it will happen for a while, and I understand that. And the fact that they are loving and open about it. And I've always said I can tell the difference between being a straight up something about it versus working it out and correcting themselves and being sincere in an apology. So that's good for me. I was born in 1980. I am a few weeks away from being 38 years old. I officially came out first as lesbian. From finding and going to a gay bar in my area. I live in a small-ish town in Missouri in the United States of America. And little while after realizing I was lesbian, I then I started doing female-to-male drag, being a male impersonator. And the name that I chose is the name that I still go by, and it was a name that I originally designed to name my firstborn son after my grandfather, whose name was Jackson, like the town, but had a vanity plate that had J-A-X on it, and Jaxum, O-M, came from that. But as I was growing up, I grew up with two older brothers, and my dad. My parents divorced when I was very young. He did remarry shortly after that. So I did have a female influence, but she and my dad both let me just be. We grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere, an even smaller town than I live in now. Still in Missouri. And we grew up on a farm, just a whole bunch of land, and I would love getting my brother's hand-me-downs. I would run after them, be their shadows. Emulate things that they did, and my father included. I tried to learn to shave when they shaved, and that's just who I was. It wasn't really questioned or challenged until other family members came around, had to go to special events and be put in a dress and scream and cry and scream and cry. And then when I started school and I was looked upon as being different, but according to some people that I went to school with that I'm still in contact with, apparently I did say that I was male and I wanted to be called he, and I do not remember that. I do remember, like, when we would play house, I would volunteer to be the dad because, in my opinion, no one ever wanted to be the dad, and I didn't have a problem with that. So there's that information. So I always played quote-unquote male sports. I was forced to, if I wanted to play sports, play quote-unquote female sports, where I was only eligible to play volleyball or softball. I hated softball. I wanted to play volleyball. I wanted to play baseball. I didn't mind volleyball. I really liked volleyball. So I did participate in that when my grades allowed it. But I did want to play basketball, and there was no girls team, and I didn't even want to be on a girls team. I wanted to be on the boys team because I felt and I knew that I could compete with the guys, but I was not allowed. So shortly after coming out, I started doing male drag, like I said, and being perceived as male and being called male and being called by my chosen name was really eye-opening to me, but it still didn't click. I didn't know. I was just still me. I had, like I said, I wore my brother's hand-me-downs as much as I could, and whenever I would go shopping, I would shop for the manliest of girl clothes if I wasn't allowed to get men's clothes. And after my dad and my stepmother divorced, my dad hated shopping for women's clothes too with me. Like, we were both completely lost. And even with my stepmom, I wasn't forced to wear the girliest of things because she didn't like to as well. She is actually the one that taught me that men's jeans came in exact inches around the waist and exact inches in height. So she still wears Levi's in that fashion for that reason. So like I said, me being me wasn't a big deal. So yeah, my dad was really okay with me shopping in the boys department. I did buy girl shoes though, and I still picked the manliest of shoes, and I was a really big skater. I picked the black skates versus the white skates and all kinds of things, but that was just who I was, and everybody knew it. So like I said, it wasn't until other people made me feel bad about myself that it was an issue. So it wasn't until I saw a TLC special around the time I was 19 or so that it really clicked. It was one of those things. I saw a female to male special about someone transitioning. It was the first information I had ever gotten, and getting more information about it in 1999 was really, really hard. The internet was still a growing thing, and it was about the only place I could get information, and I soaked up as much information as I could. And it was one of those moments where my entire life just clicked, and all those little things from growing up and everything else just clicked. So I still didn't pursue transitioning because I dated women who liked women. So a lot, even though I was, soft butch or butch, those women didn't want to date a man because they were dating a woman. So for those reasons, I would balk at furthering my transition, but I also never had medical coverage that would do it as well. And I do have a serious illness which keeps me from transitioning. Well, it didn't keep me from transitioning, but we wondered if it should keep me from transitioning. So there was those things to factor in as well. But as I got older, the harder and harder it got. There were times when I knew I could pass physically unless I talked. So friends would order at restaurants for me and stuff like that. And it was getting harder and harder to use women's restrooms. And finally my brother was just like, I hate being in men's restrooms. No one gives a crap who's in there. He's like, you're getting all this crap when you go into women's restrooms. And that was without a binder even. He's like, just go into the men's room, do your business, and leave. No, you're not going to have any problems. And I haven't. I've been using men's restrooms off and on for about 10 years. And officially, consistently for at least 5 years. I didn't change my name legally until about 3 years ago when I was living in Kentucky in the U.S. I've always lived in the United States. It was a fairly easy process. I started medically transitioning little less than 3 months ago. So my voice being a trigger is becoming less and less of an issue. I'm still perceived female from time to time. I have talked in other videos about how this is actually still not as low as my natural voice is. I still, out of habit, talk in quote-unquote my head voice. But if I stop and I think about it and I get to where my voice is naturally when I slow down, then it's still in that teenage space. So I guess, but it's getting to where over the phone I don't get ma'amed or sir'd. I went to Maryland and I didn't get ma'amed or sir'd, so on that road trip. So I don't know if it's an East Coast thing to not say ma'am and sir like it is in the South. Whenever just about anybody you meet, you say yes ma'am, yes sir, because I do it. I know other people do it, so I don't know if that's why I didn't per se, but it's becoming easier to pass. It's still not a 100% thing, but I'm getting there. And it's a little bit easy to take, but at the same time, I think being on testosterone now, it's like a really, come on. So I'm still working on my patience with the situation. it's one of those things where it's not an instant shot. It takes some time, and I'm working on that. The next step is top surgery for me, and changing my gender marker. Luckily, living in Missouri, all I need is a signature from a therapist or other medical professional that has been treating me, that I promise that this is not a fraudulent reason that I want to change my gender, that it is for body dysphoria, and that my medical professional of my choosing that is qualified to sign the letter knows that I will be this gender for the foreseeable future. And then I just buy a new ID. So, and then I go through the process of changing everything else. I do know, for those that are curious, that in some instances changing your passport might be easier than changing your actual ID, and if that is your driver's license in your state, and if that's the case, once you get your passport legally changed, it's about the same process. It's just a larger fee, but it's cheaper than some court costs and such. So if your passport gets legally changed, then all throughout the country you are legally male, and you can change your state IDs. Just for information on the US. But every state is different. So I do have a top surgeon. I just need letters of consent from a couple medical professionals. Since I do have a serious medical condition called Crohn's disease, which is an inflammatory bowel disease, I wanted to make sure that my gastroenterologist was okay with the procedure and didn't see any complications with having a major surgery, and he's fully on board. So I feel that getting any qualifying letters from any other medical professionals will be fairly easy. It's just a matter of saving up money for costs that will incur from traveling and taking time off work, and that's about it. So that's where I stand now. I am Jax. I am almost 38 years old. I have been trans my entire life. I have known since I was 18. I legally changed my name 3 years ago. I started testosterone 3 months ago, and I am currently in the process of getting everything lined up for top surgery and for changing my gender marker. And that, to me, is my transition that I need to help with my dysphoria. Personally, I am not looking into any other surgeries other than that for now, and I'm okay with that. So any other information that I may have missed or skimmed through, please leave a comment. Please let me know. I can do a follow-up video. Any Q&As about anything, I have been wanting to do one of those videos as well, so please let me know any other information that I may have missed. I will see you guys very soon with a transition voice update, and put it all together in a month-by-month comparison like I have been. And other than that, things are going well. So thank you for including me in this project that you have going on. And this video is yours to do with as you need to for the project. And thanks for joining me, guys. That is a recap on where I'm at and where I came from. So once again, just Jax, be a good human, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.